It's the 1st of August 2014. This is Primetime News. I'm Sonali Wanigabaduge.
And I'm Nadim Majid. As always, it's a pleasure having you with us. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
A revelation by the JVP on the murder of Premakirti Dialvis.
තුමාගේ නෝන සහ දරුවා අපිවත් එවල මුණ ගැහුණා. මේක ආණ්ඩු පුද්ගල සම්බන්ධය. ඒ පුද්ගල තමයි දැනට ගුවන් සංස්ථාවේ ලොකු පුටු ඉන්නේ.
Rajiv Gandhi did not consult his cabinet when deploying Indian troops in Sri Lanka. A statement from former Indian Minister Natwar Singh. Fishermen in Rameswaram prepare to enter Sri Lankan waters flying white flags. Navy to act in accordance with the law. Drought torments sections of the country while rain is reported in other parts of the country. Meteor found in Polonnaruwa in 2012 gives compelling evidence on extraterrestrial life. A statement by astrobiologist Professor Chandra Wickramasinghe.
Now on to your top story tonight. Convening a media briefing today, the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna commented on the assassination of Premakirti Dialvis.
The wife and children of Premakirti Dialvis met with us. We explained to them that the people who are levelling allegations at the JVP are completely wrong. The government is involved in this. An individual in the government is involved in this. That individual occupies a high-ranking position in the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Why has the government failed to conduct an investigation into this if they are that concerned about Premakirti Dialvis? His family members will testify and they have spoken about this openly. They could base their investigations on this. They are putting all this aside and attempting to sling mud at the JVP.
Our segment Before the Ballot is up next.
Uma oil, which springs from the Pituruthalagala mountains, spans 720 square kilometers. 65% of it is located in the Uva province, while 35% is located in the central province. While several minor and medium-scale reservoirs are constructed below the main Uma oil reservoir, a number of electricity schemes also operate from the Uma oil scheme. The construction of the reservoir, however, has caused not only people living in the villages of Divikotavara and Ulfala on the banks, but also people living near the town of Valimada to lose their lands.
The villagers lost their farms and land. They were not displaced people. When we say this to the Divisional Secretariat, they say that only land acquisition is under their purview. They say the paying of compensation is someone else's duty. There has been no compensation as yet.
We paid 48 for the foundation and we have no land. When we talk about it, they have more than 10 problems. Please do us justice. We do not leave our children to despair. The people who will be displaced by the construction of the Puhulpola reservoir have been referred to 25 hectares of land in Moragulla Uvapanagama. Those who will be displaced by the Dairaba reservoir have been referred to the Katakali area in the Dairaba state.
After travelling for several hours, we have arrived at the land where the government is to provide basic infrastructure for people who will lose their homes to the Uma Oya Reservoir project. People living in the village have expressed various opinions on this land.
Area residents charge that the lands being given for people displaced by the construction of Uma Oya are not suitable for the cultivation of their main crops, which include paddy, vegetables and potatoes. They say that infrastructure facilities, including the water supply and roads, are at a very rudimentary level.
They are building homes, but we need windows too. Where is the electricity? They are asking us to run the shack, but where is the water? Until they get the vote, they will come here worshipping us. After they get the vote, we must go and worship them.
Well, the political stage is heating up with the Uva Provincial Council polls drawing ever closer. Let's take a look at some of the views that have been expressed across party lines.
They took the vote from your calloused hands and then they did not give you any of the facilities they promised. Think about it. No matter which government comes into power in this country, the voter gets poor schools and the wealthy who take the vote get popular schools. The voter gets poor hospitals, those who take the votes get luxury hospitals. There is no place for the poor man.
Our government has made major advances, but on the other hand, there are criticisms too. Some of these criticisms are justified.
My friends, if they have developed this area, then there should be newer buildings here. There needs to be development here.
Can everything they say be done? Look at history and see if it has been done. And then you decide. If they are saying it out of love for you, vote for them.
Showers were experienced in several areas, including Colombo today, bringing an end to a spell of dry weather.
That's right. Meanwhile, strong winds damaged homes in several parts of the Gampaha district.
Intermittent heavy showers were reported in many parts of the western province since this morning. Strong winds that blew across several areas in Mirigama damaged 43 homes this morning. Our reporter says homes in the villages of Pallewela, Kallelia, Dampillawa, Uduwela and Weragoda in Mirigama were damaged by the winds.
Strong winds swept across the Dampillawa area at around 7 this morning, accompanied by heavy rain. Around 20 houses were damaged as a result. The roofing tiles were all destroyed. We have to replace the entire roof because of the massive damage caused.
Dampillawa was the worst affected by the strong winds. Our reporter says 37 homes in the village were damaged. Meanwhile, a branch of the Botri at the Sri Subodharama Vihara in Moonamale Watta, Homagama, was broken off today by strong winds experienced early this morning. The Met Department says that thunder showers can be experienced in the coming days in the western Sabragamu and central provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts. The Met Department also notes that people in the drought-hit north, central, eastern and Uva provinces can also expect rain tomorrow. The Met Department cautions that rains may be accompanied by strong winds. While several parts of the island are receiving heavy rainfall, extreme drought prevails in other areas. Farmers who rely on the Udawalawa reservoir for their cultivations are facing a chronic water shortage owing to the depleted state of the reservoir.
The Mahawali authority informed us to cultivate paddy only on 40% of the land. They wanted us to cultivate other crops in the remaining 60% of the land. However, we are not being provided with sufficient water for paddy or banana cultivation.
Paddy farmers too are facing similar problems.
If they released water before the dry season, the farmers would have cultivated their crops and profited. Watering the tanks will only be sufficient for another 10 days.
Still to come on the news tonight. Multiple gas explosions kill 25, injure more than 260 in Taiwan. Details later in the bulletin. Right now we go in for a short commercial break.
With you 24 hours a day. Verified, unbiased, balanced, fearless. www.newsfirst.lk. Best Web.lk Awards 2014. Silver Award, Best Media Website. Bronze Award, Best Tamil Website. We thank our loyal viewers for continuing to place your trust in us.
Your life, our news.
You're back with News First. Now 100 hours have lapsed since 4.5-year-old Danindu Yashin Lankanath was abducted by an armed group in Megalawa, Galgamua. Nadeem?
That's right, Sonali. Truly a tragic incident. Now, News First, as a responsible media network, will refrain from reporting on the abduction further, as we believe that attention should be focused now on the child's safety and security. Moving on to another story that made the headlines today, former Indian Foreign Minister Natwar Singh says that it was late Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's foreign policy on Sri Lanka that led to his assassination. Now, in an interview with an Indian television channel, Singh said that Rajiv Gandhi did not seek the advice of his cabinet when he decided to deploy troops on the ground in Sri Lanka.
Natwar Singh, a one-time close associate of the Gandhi family, including of matriarch Indira, son Rajiv and daughter-in-law Sonia, and a powerful figure in the Congress party, unveiled his autobiography today. The book, titled "One Life is Not Enough," has caused a major stir in the Indian political arena. Speaking to an Indian TV channel following the launch of the autobiography, Natwar Singh commented on Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's policies with regard to Sri Lanka.
सन 83 जुलाई में बड़े वहाँ राइट हुए सिनाला और तमिल्स के.
There was trouble in July 1983. A lot of Tamil and Sinhalese people were killed. Indira Gandhi initiated talks. Narasimha Rao was sent there. Rajiv then took up that mantle at the beginning of 1987.
पहले 86 दिसंबर में चिदम्बरम साहब.
वो एथनिक प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं वहाँ की समझ पा रहे थे या
Was it a national problem there or the inability to deal with the LTTE?
देखिए, एक तो है तमिलनाडु की श्रीलंका पॉलिसी.
It was both. One was Tamil Nadu's policy on Sri Lanka. The chief minister then was M.G. Ramchandran, a strong personality, a person who acted as per his prerogative. The second factor was India's policy on Sri Lanka.
पाकिस्तान की श्रीलंका पॉलिसी, उनके रिश्तेदार यहाँ हैं.
लेकिन कोई प्राइम मिनिस्टर इस तरीके से मूव नहीं करता जिसका जिक्र आपने किया है. प्रभाकरण दिल्ली के अशोका होटल में रुके.
But no Prime Minister does things like this. Prabhakaran was brought to Ashok Hotel in New Delhi. You bribed him.
कोई रिटर्न स्टेटमेंट नहीं था, सिर्फ बातों पर था.
नहीं, कोई.
I did not bribe him. I assisted him financially.
हमने कुछ उनको थोड़ी फाइनेंशियल मदद दी थी.
Singh also commented on India's decision to make airdrops of food in Sri Lanka.
जब उनकी ट्रेनिंग व्रेनिंग हो रही थी, मैंने बयान किया पार्लियामेंट के अंदर कि हाँ ऐसा हुआ है कि उसका लीक हो गया.
Discussions were held, cabinet ministers were present. I was called too, so I went. It was said there that people in Jaffna, Sri Lanka were dying of hunger and that we should airdrop food and medicine as humanitarian aid. I asked if Sri Lanka was informed. Shiv Shankar said that since we are neighbours and in the Commonwealth too, do we need to inform them?
और फिर पांचों कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर जो मेंबर थे Political Affairs Committee के.
Responding to the revelations and statements made by Natwar Singh, Congress party leader Sonia Gandhi said she would write her own book in the future, following which the true facts would come to light. Speaking to Indian media, she added that she would not be hurt by such attacks. Former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh labelled the statements made by Natwar Singh as a marketing ploy. He added that personal discussions should not be used for political advantage.
In yet another headline-making story on tonight's news, Indian media reported today that fishermen of Rameshwaram are making preparations to arrive in Sri Lankan waters flying white flags. However, the Newsfirst correspondent in Rameshwaram noted that Indian security forces have been put on alert in order to stop this effort.
Fishermen in Rameswaram conducted their protests for a ninth day today, citing a number of demands, including the immediate release of Indian fishing vessels in Sri Lankan custody. According to a correspondent, fishermen from the Pamban area also joined today's protest. Nearly 800 fishing vessels from the Pamban area did not set out to sea today. They charged that the Indian central government has done nothing to meet their demands.
The fishermen from Pamban will also join tomorrow's protest. We will set sail while flying white flags. We will continue this protest until the Indian fishing vessels are freed.
Navy media spokesperson Commander Kosala Varnakula Surya noted that if the Indian fishermen attempt to breach the Sri Lankan maritime boundary, necessary steps would be taken in accordance with the law.
Now, Sri Lanka's Ministry of Defence and Urban Development has issued an unqualified apology on their website for an article which appeared on their website regarding Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha Jairam and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
According to The Hindu, hours after the article was published, Indian politicians expressed outrage at the article. Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, in a letter to Indian Premier Narendra Modi, requested him to direct the Indian External Affairs Ministry to express India's displeasure at the article and also seek an unconditional apology from the Sri Lankan government. Subsequently, the article was removed from the website of the Ministry of Defence and a new article titled "An Unqualified Apology" was posted in its place. In it, the ministry notes that the article was published without appropriate authorization and that it did not reflect the official position of the government of Sri Lanka or the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development. The ministry, through the article, also extends an unqualified apology to Indian Premier Narendra Modi and the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Jayalalitha Jayaram. Speaking to the Hindu newspaper, Director of the Media Centre of the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development, Brigadier Ruwan Wanigasurya, stated that Sri Lanka extends its apologies and that it was a lapse of editorial judgment on the part of the officer who was in charge of the website, and goes on to state that they accept full responsibility for it and deeply regret it.
The Mahajana Eksat Peramuna, a partner of the ruling UPFA, made a pledge today to continue on the path of principled politics.
The 21st National Convention of the Mahajana Eksat Peramuna was held at the Colombo Town Hall premises today.
The 21st National Convention of the Mahajana Eksat Peramuna commenced with a memorial to the late Philip Gunawardena. President Mahinda Rajapaksa also made an appearance at the convention a short while after its commencement. The President also engaged in cordial discussions with the representatives of several UPFA partners. The Jatika Helo Rumaya, Democratic Left Front and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party extended their best wishes to the Mahajana Eksat Peramuna on the occasion of its 21st National Convention.
Let us create a sense of unity, fraternity and harmony in the progressive leftist patriot camp and not allow the backbone of the country to be broken. Let us move forward as a principled political party that works to ensure that the ordinary man receives economic benefits and that the ordinary man achieves their economic aspirations. Your Excellency the President, leaders of brother parties, it has been proven that countries can be changed if faith is kept in the people.
සහෝදර පක්ෂ නායකවරුනි ජනතාව කෙරෙහි පවන විශ්වාසයට රටවල් වෙනස් කළ හැකි බව ඔප්පු කර තිබෙනවා.
Western Province Minister Udaya Gammampila ascended a traditional marriage porua today. Now, Gammampila ascended the porua while declaring open a handicraft exhibition at the National Art Gallery.
A group of street vendors staged a protest in Anuradhapura today. The vendors were protesting the removal of their businesses in line with the ruling of the Municipal Council.
The demonstration was held to protest the removal of street vendors on the stretch of pavement from the Ayurveda roundabout in Anuradhapura after the General Hospital. One of the protesters ascended a tree to show his protest.
Our reporter in the area pointed out that Minister of Education Services Duminda Dissanayaka had visited the scene of the protest this evening. The protester who had climbed the tree later climbed down on the promise that street vendors would be granted talks with the mayor of Anuradhapura tomorrow.
On to another local story. The body of a witness connected to the lawsuit in which a teacher was forced to kneel before a classroom in Nawagatte Gama Puttalam was found today.
Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana said that the body was recovered from an abandoned well located near a house. Steps were taken to recover the body following the magisterial inquest. The police say that the deceased was identified as a 55-year-old. The police media spokesperson said that the deceased was the primary witness in the case.
The chairpersons of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority and Airports and Aviation Services Sri Lanka say that there has been significant growth in the Hambantota Harbour and airport. They made these remarks at separate events held yesterday.
Project Minister of Ports, Highways and Shipping, Rohita Abegunawardena, declared open the new kitchen and fire and rescue unit at the Colombo Harbour today.
Governments in the past used other tools to maintain government, but today, as the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, we can be proud to say that we have a revenue and are profitable after paying off foreign loans. No matter what criticisms are levelled, the Sri Lanka Ports Authority has embarked on this journey.
Sri Lanka Varayadikari ada me gamanata ekatu wela තියෙනවා.
Speaking at an event held at the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce last evening, the chairman of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority expressed these views.
This most controversial project I have ever go through in this country. People asking why we are going ahead with this phase 2, even without having sufficient business to phase 1. But if you go to Hambantota, if you talk to car carrier operators, you can get the actual picture. 85% vehicle transshipment is taking place in Hambantota now. Colombo took about 15 years to reach 15 billion revenue. But in Hambantota, this is our 4th year. We are completing 4th year in November 18th. So, end of this year, we'll reach 15 billion revenue target.
Meanwhile, clarifications were made on progress at the Mattala International Airport at a media briefing convened by Airports and Aviation Services Sri Lanka in Colombo yesterday.
The number of passengers using the airport will increase in the future gradually. I believe it took several years for the Bandaranaike International Airport to reach this level. I believe that the Mattala International Airport will be able to reach this capacity in a shorter time frame. The Mattala International Airport is growing rapidly, and I reiterate that we can expect a very good situation in the future.
The tragedy that caused a family of 5 from Muttur to reside in this rudimentary shack instead of homes have been covered by the sands of time. Among the dreams of a daughter of this family, who was the direct victim of the aforementioned tragedy, was to have a proper house. While this girl was not of a suitable age to undertake the effort to make that dream a reality, it could also be said that while she is not the first victim of human traffickers, she would also not be the last. Another resident of Muttur, similar in many ways to this girl, gave Action TV an eyewitness account.
They scold us and beat us. We have to face many such problems. I will not say that this only happened to me. This happens to other children who go there as well.
It is possible that it will take more time to obtain an exact account of what this girl underwent while working in Saudi Arabia. She returned to Sri Lanka on the 9th of June, out of her senses, but alive. At present, she is being monitored by a mental health clinic. This girl, from a family of 4 sisters who were resettled in Linganagar, Muttur, following the end of the war, is also a person who saw dreams of a proper home. With the hope of realizing this dream and others, she left for Saudi Arabia after being recruited by a foreign employment subcontractor. Her passport was prepared ahead of the journey, indicating that she was born on the 24th of September 1987. In truth, the girl was born on the 5th of August 1995. Incidentally, the photograph on her travel document is that of another person. Incidentally, information contained in the service contract of this girl, who was no older than 17 when traveling abroad, is also falsified. Although she was in Saudi Arabia for 17 months and 11 days, after 3 months she was not allowed to have contact with her family in Muttur. The Trincomalee office of the Foreign Employment Services Bureau informed the girl's parents on the 10th of June that if they did not take custody of her immediately, she would be referred to the mental hospital in Mullairiyawa. Although they did not receive any money from her after her first 3 months in Saudi Arabia, the parents had immediately taken custody of their daughter and had brought her home, not wanting her to be referred to the mental hospital in Mullairiyawa. Should the rogues who dashed the dreams and aspirations of this girl using forged documents be allowed to even see dreams in the future of forging documents of other unassuming victims? Secretary to the President. This is over to you.
Welcome back to Primetime News.
The Mathura Beach Park is one of the urban development projects being carried out by the Urban Development Authority.
This beautiful coastline has been named as a Mathura Beach Park. The 1 kilometer stretch has already become a well-known location for those who wish to relax and unwind. One feature which will be an added benefit for its visitors is the construction of food stalls.
Stage 1, 2 complete.
We have already completed stage 1 and 2. Now we have to implement stage 3 of the project. We can commence this stage by next month and complete the project by the end of the year.
This project is spearheaded by the Coast Conservation Department under the guidance of the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development. The Sri Lanka Army has played a pivotal role in this project. Meanwhile, the development of the Mathura Weekly Fair is also underway.
The Colombo Centenary International Scout Jamboree commenced today. The Jamboree will go on until the 7th of this month at the Waigro campsite in Madampe.
The Colombo Centenary International Scout Jamboree is organized to commemorate 100 years of scouting of the Colombo District Scouts and is currently underway at the Waigro campsite in Madampe, Dumala Surya. Scouts from Sri Lanka and overseas are participating in this event.
Yeah, I'm from India.
Everyone's from India over here.
On behalf of Thai people and on behalf of Thai Scout, we're very happy to be here.
From Nepal Scouts, we have been lobbying the Sri Lankan Jamboree over here since last night. Though it was raining, it's very good and awesome climate over here.
The International Scout Jamboree will officially commence tomorrow. Apart from the traditional jamboree which takes place annually, this jamboree will feature numerous activities such as cultural and musical events, campfires and a variety of dramatic performances from the visiting scouts.
ලංකාවේ සියලුම බාලදක්ෂ දිස්ත්‍රික්ක වලින් දිස්ත්‍රික්ක 35කින් පමණ
Around 5,000 scouts from all 35 districts in Sri Lanka, including Colombo, will participate in this event. This is the first time Girl Guides will also participate in the Jamboree alongside scouts from 17 countries. We will conduct this event under the theme Are You Bowan? We also have plans to conduct similar events in the future.
මේ කඳුරට සහභාගී වෙන බව කියන්නට කැමැතියි. මේ බාලදක්ෂ ජම්බෝරිය නම ආයුබෝවන් තේමාව යටතේ පැවැත්වෙනවා.
An event held to mark Egypt's 62nd National Day was held in Colombo yesterday. Now the event was held under the auspices of the Egyptian ambassador to Sri Lanka, Hisham Asran. The reception was graced by a number of politicians, representatives of diplomatic missions and other distinguished guests. The IESL Ray Vijayawardena Memorial Lecture was held at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute in Colombo yesterday.
Renowned astrobiologist and director of the Buckingham Centre for Astrobiology in the UK, Professor Chandra Wickramasinghe, delivered the IESL Ray Vijayawardena Memorial Lecture on the discovery of extraterrestrial life, a turning point for humanity.
So it's a remarkable instance of serendipity, in my view, that the most compelling evidence of extraterrestrial life was perhaps discovered near Polonnaruwa in December 2012 at a site which has since been declared, a few months ago in fact, by President Mahinda Rajapaksa to be a site of national scientific heritage. The meteorites that fell in Polonnaruwa are very unusual. They're very porous, they have low density and unusual nature compared to most other meteorites. And this difference from the standard meteorites inevitably sparked a huge controversy. But the controversy is now mostly resolved because we've done a huge number of experiments in different laboratories, and I think there is absolutely no doubt that these rocks fell from the sky. Even the most ardent disbelievers and the hardened skeptics in Sri Lanka now accept that these fell from the sky. Inside these meteorites, a variety of marine diatoms and also freshwater diatoms were discovered. Such iridium levels that we found in the Polonnaruwa meteorites are also found in sediments in the geological layers that were associated with the extinction of the dinosaurs. We know that the extinction of the dinosaurs resulted from a huge comet impact, and that particular level in the Earth's crust has the same kind of enhancement of the element iridium.
The annual festival of the iconic Nallur Kovil Jaffna commenced today. The commencement of the festival was marked with the flag hoisting ceremony. Nallur Kovil in Jaffna holds special prominence for Hindu devotees. The flag hoisting ceremony commenced following religious observances held at dawn today. Several special pujas and other religious rituals will be performed daily until the 25th of August as part of the annual festival of the Nallur Kovil. The Ther festival will be held at the auspicious time on the 24th of this month. It is expected that devotees will flock in their thousands for the festival.
On to a story that is capturing international headlines. The head of the World Health Organization says that the Ebola outbreak in West Africa is spreading faster than efforts to control it. She told a summit of regional leaders that failure to contain it could be catastrophic in terms of lives lost. However, Dr. Paba Palihawardena, the director of the epidemiology unit of the Ministry of Health here in Colombo, notes that the risk of the Ebola virus spreading to Sri Lanka is extremely minimal. WHO head Dr. Margaret Chan says that the virus, which had claimed 729 lives in 4 West African countries since February, could be stopped if well managed. Now, Ebola kills up to 90% of those infected. It spreads by contact with infected blood, bodily fluids, organs, or contaminated environments. Initial flu-like symptoms can lead to external hemorrhaging from areas like the eyes and gums, and internal bleeding, which can lead to organ failure. Dr. Chan was meeting the leaders of the worst affected countries, Guinea, Liberia and Sierra Leone. Now, Newsfirst spoke to the director of the epidemiology unit of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Paba Palihawardena, earlier today on the risk of the current Ebola outbreak spreading to Sri Lanka.
The risk of the virus spreading here is extremely minimal. It has been reported from 2 or 3 African nations. Additionally, it spreads from person to person through bodily fluids like blood. There have been no reports of airborne transmission. The chance of it spreading from people in those countries to Sri Lanka is very minimal. If a new disease of such a case is reported from one of our hospitals, the health staff have been instructed to quarantine and isolate the patient. In the case of airports, not even the World Health Organization or other countries are following a procedure of causing severe inconvenience to passengers. I will not say that there is no risk whatsoever, but when diseases like this are reported from other countries, you can stay informed and continue living.
Israel has said that it is resuming operations in the Gaza Strip, marking the end of what was supposed to be a 72-hour truce. 5 people have been killed just hours into the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip after Israel and Hamas agreed to a 72-hour pause in fighting. Latest reports indicate that at least 30 Palestinians were killed in Israeli shelling today.
There was an immediate lull in fighting as the truce began at 8 a.m. local time today. However, less than 3 hours later, medics reported deaths in the south of the Palestinian territory. 5 people were killed and more than a dozen wounded in Rafah as a result of Israeli tank shelling. Gunfire reportedly from snipers could be heard east of Gaza City. Before the beginning of the ceasefire, 14 people were killed in the Gaza Strip. For its part, the Israeli army said 5 of its soldiers had died in mortar fire near the Gaza border. Hopes of an end to the bloodshed had risen early today after US Secretary of State John Kerry announced that Israel and Hamas had agreed to a joint UN-US ceasefire proposal.
Israel has to be able to live in peace and security without terror attacks, without rockets, without tunnels, without sirens going off in the day, and Palestinians need to be able to live with the opportunity to educate their children and move freely and share in the rest of the world and to lead a life that is different from the one they have long suffered. So we hope that this moment of opportunity will be grabbed by the parties, but no one can force them to do that, obviously.
Meanwhile, 2 students in the US have launched a social media campaign in an effort to diffuse negative dialogue amid ongoing violence in the Middle East. Using the hashtag Jews and Arabs refuse to be enemies, the duo have embarked on a mission to bring peace to the Middle East.
We obviously know the limitations of a hashtag, so if we could, we would have stopped the case tomorrow and solved the conflict, but obviously it's a social media campaign. So we hope to diffuse hate on social media, but if it could progress, and we think so many people have stated that they want a peaceful life in the Middle East, so yeah, we hope that leaders will hear that.
I think our friendship in a lot of ways has become what it is because of religion. I think because we're so different. Religion gives us something to talk about. Religion, allows us to see someone else's life in another perspective, and I think my religion and his religion has both empowered us to make that friendship.
Now, a series of gas explosions in the southern Taiwanese city of Kaohsiung has killed 25 people and injured 267 others. The blast rocked the city's Shenzhen district, scattering cars and blowing deep trenches in roads. The exact cause of the gas leaks is not clear, but reports say the blasts were caused by ruptured pipelines. Images of the scene showed major fires, upturned vehicles, bodies covered in debris, and streets split in two. The explosions happened late on Thursday last night, with witnesses reporting huge fireballs soaring into the air. Taiwan's premier said there were at least 5 blasts.
Sri Lankan badminton hopeful Niluka Karunaratne was knocked out of the Commonwealth Games as he was defeated in a round of 16 today. Niluka suffered a 2-1 loss to India's Srikanth Kidambi. Sports First Roshan Watawala reports from Glasgow, Scotland.
Sri Lanka also suffered defeat in the table tennis women's doubles event. England defeated Sri Lanka 3-0. Sri Lanka was represented by Ishara Madurangi and Erandi Varusavithana. Over into the hockey turf, Indian women defeated the Scottish Lasses 2-1 in the battle for the 5th place. During the first half, none of the teams managed to score, but the Indians gained the upper hand in the second half and went on to clinch victory 2-1.
Coach up on the stand, Neil Borgert.
The Young Soloist Concert, organised by the Symphony Orchestra of Sri Lanka, will be held on Sunday the 3rd of August, that's this Sunday. The event will feature 2 young soloists, Vidurinda Samaravira and Joshua Ashokan. Rehearsals for the concert were held in Colombo on Wednesday. The Young Soloist Concert will be held at the Ladies College Auditorium in Colombo and promises to be a treat for the season.
And on that musical note, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. I'm Sonali Wanigabadage.
And I'm Nadim Majid. Just a reminder though, you can catch all the action from the 20th Commonwealth Games coming up right after the news bulletin. Of course, we have all the action from the badminton courts in Glasgow. I'm Nadim Majid. Good night and good luck.